Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Monday, December 22nd. It is 6:22 right now. We got market opening up in about 8 minutes. So looking at the news for today, there's not really much going on. We had some pre-market news here. Chicago Fed National Activity Index at 5:30. Mm, Not really too much of a movement based off that, so I'm not really expecting too much. This is Christmas week, so just keep that in mind. The only real trading days are going to be today and tomorrow. Um, Maybe Friday, but it's probably going to be slow. I think everyone's taking a long weekend. Connection lost. Connection loss, of course. I'm not sure if. So I did see that Trump classified the day after Christmas as a national holiday or a federal holiday. I'm not sure if it's in effect this year, but let me check actually. Hmm, okay. Okay. So we'll see that. Hey Mendez, morning. Morning, Ben. Morning, everybody. Okay, so yeah, I looked up the market says it's going to be open on the 26th. So I guess we'll probably trade that day. I mean, we'll see. It's just a lot of different things happening, not just this year, but just in general with Trump being president. There's just, I talked to another trader yesterday at the gym that I know for a while. He trades fundamentals and he was telling me that like every month it's something different, right? Tariffs, Trump announcing something, a war going on. There's always something going on. Um, and yeah, I think this year, again, Trump was mentioning that he was making December 26th a national holiday so that we can have a long weekend. So yeah, anyways, good morning, guys. Today is Monday, December 22nd. It is 6:25 right now. We have market opening up in about 5 minutes. Like we talked about earlier, so this is Christmas week, guys. I know people are still coming in, so I'm going to keep reminding people as people make their way in. But yeah, this is Christmas week, so we have a short trading week. Realistically, it's just 2 days to trade this week, today and tomorrow. We have Friday, but as I was just discussing, Trump is wanting to make Friday a national holiday. I'm not sure if it's official yet. I did look online over here, and it says that the market is open for the 26th. Um, Market's technically open on the 24th too, but it's an early close. Nobody really trades on the 24th. If you guys have traded with me over the years, we've been trading live for about 8 to 10 years now. We never trade during this time because it's just you'll see the market's really, really dead. We'll look at historical data to show you how it is like last year, and it's just dead. There's just no point in trading it. So we'll see. But yeah, market's gonna open up shortly, guys, at 6:26, and we'll see what happens next. Hey, Masish. Nice. Masish said trading on the airplane Wi-Fi today. How much longer are you on the flight, Masish? I know you flew yesterday, so you're gonna be on the flight for, I'm assuming, another 4 hours. Yeah, depending on when you left yesterday. Seems like you're probably still in the air for a while. Hey, Stephen, morning. Yeah, Steven's gonna be looking for the breakout. Jonathan said maybe Friday close at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yes, that's I think they're closing early. Or it's going to be a regular day, but they're going to be opening late, or it's going to be a partial day basically. It's not going to be a full 24 hours, but yes, they are going to be closing at a little early, I believe. Oh, Masih said his flight was delayed, so he's got another 8 hours in the air. Yeah, well, at least you have internet and you can look at the charts, I guess, while you're on the plane. I feel like when you're looking at the charts and you're testing stuff, time goes by so fast. I remember when I used to go on long flights, I would just take my laptop, I would preload the trading view data, I would just back test my entire flight, and it goes by pretty quickly. Yeah, back then they didn't have like fast internet. I couldn't even go on. But all right, guys. Morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 22nd. It is 6:27. We have 3 minutes until market open. We'll know the direction of the breakout shortly. The breakout is not a listed entry, so we don't really have a specific direction. It's just going to be with momentum, of course. Um, Again, as you guys know, I'm looking to take one entry per day. So if you look at the algo list, there's four target entries. The entries look pretty good for today. We have they're clusters of entries. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If you guys are on the Discord and you guys have access to the algo page, there's 11 entries that are listed for today. For target entries, there's four target entries. The same one we've been looking at is going to be the main one I'll be looking for today. Again, let me turn on my flickering momentum. I forgot to get that on, so let's get that on real quick. All right, we got the pending momentum signal here to let us know when we have pending momentum. Again, we have an entry coming up in a few, but if I do have um, a pending momentum, then I'm obviously not going to take it. So we'll see. All right, guys, we got market opening up shortly. If you guys are looking to take the breakout for today is going to be a sell for those of you who are looking to jump into it. We have a sell signal right here. It's going to be with momentum. I'm not taking that breakout, but Steven's going to take it. He's one of the main people who typically take it, so we'll see. Ashish, if I get disconnected mid-trade due to plain Wi-Fi, I might have to flip my food on the person in front of me. Yeah, I know. It's I'm surprised you're on here. Like it seems like your Wi-Fi connection's pretty fast. Um, yeah, because I've tried to do Wi-Fi and it was always unstable. But yeah, not good to have you on here, Masish. All right, guys, market's gonna open up in about 10 seconds. Yeah, working for now, right? It's a little spotty sometimes. We got market opening up in 3, 2, 1, and market is now open. So big spike right there. Obviously, I don't ever try to take any trades on Monday for the most part, but we had a big spike right there. Let's see, price spiked up quite a bit right there. 40 points. It just depends on how you guys take the breakout. You know, some people like to take it with a 50-50. Some people like taking it with the 40-80. Some people like taking it with more. But obviously the breakout here is spiking to the upside. Not exactly the trade that I ever try to take. I mean, I haven't taken the breakout on open for, I mean, it's been a long time now. I don't remember the last time I took the breakout on open for this specific reason, right? Big spike of manipulation right there. I typically like to wait until the market starts to kind of fizzle out from that open manipulation. So obviously you can see right here, price was kind of going sideways, spiked up right there. Again, our first entry for today is going to be at 6, or sorry, I'm not going to say, well, I'll just say it's in against momentum. So we have a first entry coming up over here at 6:35. It's going to be against momentum. So we'll see if this here comes up. Um, it's fine that I share that entry with you guys because it's not one that we're looking to take. So this trade over here at 6:35, it's going to be against momentum with a max drawdown of 9.24. Has a weighted average of 58%, overall 55, buy percentage of 42, and sell percentage of 61. Has a profit factor of 2.444, so it's going to be for the direction of a sell. And we'll see if it comes up. So when this entry comes up at 6:35, we're going to be looking for price to reach some sort of ceiling and then possibly make its way back down. That's kind of what we're looking for here, right? When it comes down to this entry at 6:35, typically we don't share that with you guys, but or with the general YouTube, but because it's against momentum, it's not one trade that we're looking to take here. Yeah, Daniel said this candle is massive. Yeah, it's huge. It is a huge candle right there. It's 100 points. But no surprise there, right? The manipulation. It's a huge candle, but we've seen this happen time and time again on Mondays usually. So on Mondays are more riskier than Fridays, I believe, for my personal opinion. When I've been looking at the markets, I usually don't like trading on Mondays. Mondays and Fridays are usually a little bit tricky. Mondays are a lot more trickier than Fridays because on Monday people are re-entering the market from the weekend, right? So typically on a Monday, I like to take buys versus sells. Um, and for this specific reason, right? Price is flat. So the reason why we like this or I look for something like this is because on Fridays, so we'll say Fridays, people sell off positions for a weekend, right? That's usually what happens. And then Monday, people buy positions to re-enter for the week. So usually on Fridays, I'm looking to maybe possibly sell, and then Mondays I'm looking for buys because of this specific reason. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the chart here. So as I mentioned earlier, we have an against momentum trade coming up right here at 6:35. I have it kind of lined up. It's looking like that's exactly what's happening, right? So I drew up here exactly what I was waiting for it to happen here. I was waiting for price to come up and then start to reverse back down, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. If you guys are looking to get into this trade, I'm not taking it, of course, because I don't take trades that are against momentum. But if you guys want to take it, this is going to be an against momentum trade here. Let's see, Hunter's asking, will you reset your account for the new year? So I'm probably not going to reset my account completely, but I'm not going to follow the data, right? So like, for example, here, I have it from January 2nd until, or I guess, yeah, in a sense, it's going to reset. So right now I have the data for year to date, right? This is just for the whole year, basically. Um, and then for the next year, I'm going to just have year to date for 2026. So yeah, in a sense, it's going to be reset. It's not going to be like the data is going to get wiped because we're still going to have the data from this year. But I'm only going to be focused on like 2026, right? Because I want to see my progress from that year. So yeah, Hunter, in a sense, it's going to be reset where we're only following 2026 data. And for 2026, we're going to be focusing mainly on the algo, right? So these trades over here were my original strategies where I basically did, a lot of different types of entries. But for 2026, I'm going to be mainly focused on just the algo entries. So all the data is going to be just algo entries. So we'll see. But all right, guys, here goes the 635 candle. So if you guys are looking to get into this here, this is going to be for a sell, of course. Let's see, we had a momentum come up right here. Let me see the log. This is at 630. So one thing that we're looking for with these pending momentums or flickering momentums is if it's ever coming up like 3 minutes before, we probably don't want to mess with it, right? Because that's indicating that the momentum and the trend is weakening a bit. So we don't have any alerts here. I mean, if you get one on this specific candle, it's probably going to be in the favor of your trade. I'm not in this position here, but if you guys want to take it, this is going to be an against momentum trade. We're going to follow it. This is the first trade on the list for today. Not a target entry, but it is a listed entry for those of you who are, if you want to take every single entry that comes up. So I'm not in this position right here, but I will follow it for you guys. Yeah, not in this position. So we have that flickering momentum right there that's coming up. Again, I'm not in it. We're just following it here. This price continues to move along. We do have an entry though coming up in about 10 minutes or so. So this right here is the first listed entry for the day. Again, it's against momentum, max drawdown of 9%, weighted average of 58%, overall percentage of 55. It's not very high, right? It's decent. It's at 58%. So we typically want something closer to 60, if not higher, 65. And we typically don't like to go against momentum here, but we'll see. So we have the flickering momentum right there. It just came up. I don't know why I didn't get an alert, but it did come up right there, 636. So we have a momentum there for a sell. If you guys also look at the spreadsheet, so I added up all of the entries if you just took one entry per day, because that's my game plan anyways. Um, I don't know what's up. So for some reason, the alerts here come up really late. I don't know why it does that, but it comes up really late. Um, I need to figure out a way to fix that because for some reason, like right now, the alert just came up, but that was like a minute ago. We'll keep looking at it though. I mean, I'll keep watching to make sure, but it is unusual that the alert comes up so late like that. But yeah, anyways, if you guys look at the spreadsheet, I was just talking about that just a few moments ago. I've added up basically all of the entries. If you were just taking one entry per day, basically the first entry that comes up. It had a 17R for mid-November up until today. And if you were only taking the December trades, it has a 6R. So, I mean, that's pretty good R multiple for 1 to 2 risk reward strategy. That's only once a day, right? Because there's only 20 trading days. So 17R for 20 trading days, pretty good. Um, 6R for I don't know what is that, like 10 something trading days. It's pretty good. Overall, it's pretty good statistics when it comes down to it. So I'll show you guys a spreadsheet a little later. Obviously, I'm not going to share it because we have a whole list of trades that are still coming up. Um, this against momentum trade is looking good. It's taking a while for it to come down, but it is looking good. Little to no drawdown right there. It's about to hit full TP right there, 60 points. So again, if you guys want to take every trade that comes up, feel free to to take these. I'll identify them, we'll look at them, but I'm not looking to take these against momentum trades. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Nice. Paul got it right there. He made 1,500. Nice work, Paul. So great work to you guys there who caught that first trade. That's the first trade of the day, first trade of the week, 6:35. Again, if you guys are looking at my list of trades, this trade was posted last night at about 8 p.m. So you guys have my list of trades already listed. Great trade right there. Great trade. It played out exactly how we anticipated. It did exactly what I said was going to happen, right? So price pushed up. I said we're going to establish a ceiling right here, 635. Look for that reversal downwards, and it came up. The algo was spot on with that reversal. And then Daniel took the MPSV2 as well. Nice work, Daniel. All right, perfect. So great work on that trade right there for those of you who caught it. Um, and we'll see from there. Let's see. Hunter's asking how many accounts do you trade? Are they all live or funded accounts through prop firms? My accounts are, well, I'm mainly focusing on the hedge fund clients, so they're all for the most part they're live accounts. They're real money. Um, I only have a couple accounts that are listed on TraderSync. There's only like I think 40 accounts that are listed on here, but I have more. So I mean, the numbers don't really matter because if it's in profit, they're for the most part it should be yielding more profit. Um, but yeah, I have 20 funded accounts, I believe, with Apex. And then I have I think like 70 live accounts. So I mean the numbers are the thing is don't ever look at the numbers, guys. So like if you want to look at the actual profit, that stuff doesn't really matter too much. I mean, it's nice to look at and it's good to see, but for the most part, you just want to see what the statistics are overall, right? Because either way, the statistics are going to be the same. If I'm showing 20 trades, showing 40 trades, the win rate's still going to be the same. The profit factor is still going to be the same. And the numbers shouldn't really it shouldn't really matter to most people because the numbers like you're someone's specific account's not going to be as much as mine, right? So like realistically, you just want to see the profit factor, which is 1.51. Trying to get this closer to 2. So before we were doing like a 1 to 2 risk reward, we were doing a negative risk reward earlier in the year, and then now we're doing a 2 to 1. So it's kind of building up. So next year, this should be closer to a 2.0 profit factor. The main thing to look at here is really the profit factor and the win rate. Those are like the main things to look at because it doesn't matter how many accounts I have. It doesn't make a difference to you as a trader, right? So if I had 5 accounts or 20 accounts or 40 accounts or 100 accounts, it doesn't matter because you don't have that many accounts. So you shouldn't expect that much profit. What you should look at is just the performance of the actual trades. So yeah, DeJounte did end up taking that one. on one of my evals only because of the massive spike up on open. I think the spike was almost 200 points. Yeah, so this one over here did push up about, yeah, 200 points like Dijon mentioned. Yeah, so it was due for some retracement right there. We have a pending buy signal right here, guys. So this is going to start setting up for the entry. So we have a target entry coming up in about 5 minutes or so. I have the statistics right here on my chart ready. So it has a 7.56 max equity drawdown. It has a 60% overall probability for wins here. So it basically won 12 out of the previous 20 entries. It has a profit factor of 2.667. Looking at the trade analysis over here, it has a buy probability of 66.67% and a sell probability of 50. So obviously I'm going to be looking for buys right here. It has a weighted probability of 63.34. So with that being the case, I mean, this has pretty good stats on paper. The main thing that I'll be looking for here is whether it has a flickering momentum, right? So we want this momentum here to close. And then once this momentum here closes, we want to make sure that there's no flickering momentums after it, right? So we want that momentum to close, and then we don't want it to go the other way, of course. So we'll see. If the momentum doesn't close by the listed entry, we have a couple more after. Like I mentioned, there's a cluster of entries coming up. So right there again, flickering momentum, but we want that momentum to close because we're going for a buy, right? Like I mentioned, we have a 66.67 probability for buys. For buys here at 1/8 of the previous 12 entries. So the statistics here are looking pretty good and pretty decent with regard to entry. So we need this buy signal to close like now. If it doesn't close now, then this is probably not going to be an entry, or if it's going to be an entry, it's going to be a flickering momentum entry, right? Which might need to be skipped. So yeah, like I said, we want this momentum signal to close either on this candle or on the next one. If it doesn't close on either of these two candles, then this is going to be labeled as a flickering momentum entry, meaning that the momentum is weak and the trend is weak, and I'm probably not going to be getting into it. One thing that I was looking at too, guys, one thing that I was looking at um, over the weekend was the market flow V2 entries. Um, what I noticed is so, and I'll look for an example here, but so for example, here we have a sell signal, right? What I look for is I look for two wick rejections within like basically a 3 minute period. So for example, here if we have see we have a nice wick rejection off the blue pivot right there, and then we have a nice rejection off the blue pivot right here. If we have a nice rejection off these two right here, then I would say this would be a good time to set a pending order here for a market flow V2. So see how we have that rejection right there and rejection right here, and we have a sell momentum. What I'm identifying here is that price is attempting to shift down to the downside like that. So this is if you guys want to take this type of entry, right? I'm not going to take it here. I'm not going to tell anybody to take it, but if you want to take this entry right here, this here would be a market flow V2. Um, it's something that I've noticed over the weekend. I'm going to keep following it to see because what I can do with this is if I see a market flow V2 come up and it lines up with a with an algo entry, then I can take that algo entry with confidence, right? Not necessarily taking just as a market flow V2, but just using it as a confluence. Um, the first target entry is not looking like it's going to come up, guys. We didn't have the buy signal come up yet, right? So because that buy signal hasn't came up, we're probably not going to have this entry come up anytime soon. So again, right here, guys, if you guys saw, this is the entry that I mentioned earlier, market flow V2. It's coming down pretty nice. So this would have been good if we had an algo entry for a sell right here, right? If I had another algo entry for a sell, this would have been perfect. So I'd have been like, okay, I'm looking for an algo entry for a sell here. And it lined up with that market flow V2. So it's coming down pretty nicely. But all right, so the entry right here for market flow V2 is going to be a no entry. So this entry right here was at 648. Obviously no entry. There's another one at 649, but it's also going to be no entry because we just don't have the buy signal there. So we were looking for a buy here, no buy signal. So there's just going to be no entry there for the first one, 648. And then there's one right after at 649. They're a cluster of entries. This right here is a market flow V2. This isn't an algo entry. So yeah, not in this position right here. There was pending momentums over here, so obviously wouldn't be super, super great trade. But all right, we are moving on to the 648 candle. So this entry right here, this is the one we've been taking pretty much all last week. It's been happening at the same time every single day. We got the pending momentum right there again. So with that pending momentum, we have another cluster of entries after. If you guys have my list of trades, the 648 right here was a no entry, of course, which is we're currently on. So this current candle right here was supposed to be the algo entry, but because we have no bullish momentum, there's no entry there. So no entry for 648. And then there's another cluster of entry right after at 649. Technically, if this here closes with the buy signal, this would be an entry. But because we don't have one here yet, there's going to be no entry there because it's going to be considered flickering, right? So we'll follow here and we'll see where this ends up going. But let me take this off. I don't want you guys to think I'm in a position there. That was just a market flow setup or market flow example. We'll check on this in a few, but again, there's no entries here. So this is a market flow entry, but not an algo entry. If we had some sell entries here for the algo, that'd be great. So technically, you can see the short here. I'm not in this position, but you can see the short position here. The reason why the short position came up is because this is with momentum. Technically, the sells here aren't horrible, right? They're not super bad. Um, they still have a 50% probability. The only problem with this is that we had a flickering momentum right there at 648, right? So either way, if we had a sell momentum here and we were looking for a sell entry, we still wouldn't take it because it had a flickering momentum at 648. Basically, what we're looking at is whenever there's a flickering momentum 3 minutes prior to the entry, we just don't take it because it indicates that the momentum and trend is weak. So this right here is a market flow V2 currently passing through. Um, there's another follow-up entry right here. Like I said, there's a cluster of entries, 48 and 49. They're both for sells. I mean, I wouldn't take either one, but the trade there is still running. And then there's going to be another cluster of entries in about 4 minutes. So personally, what I'd like to see here is probably price come down, hit the target, and then maybe reverse back up. All right. So with that being the case, there's nothing here right now as price continues to move along. Um, yeah, so no entries for both of them. If you guys are looking at the spreadsheet, I'm updating the spreadsheet in real time. Yeah, no entry for 648, no entry for 649. We have another target entry coming up in a bit. All right. So this is going to be the next target entry. It has a 7.32% max equity drawdown, profitability or probability of 55%, profit factor of 2.435. Um, win percentage for buys is 76.92. So obviously you're going to look for buys here. Short percentage is very low, 14%. So no entries so far. Um, or no official entries and no listed entries either. So unfortunately, it's looking like these next listed entries are not going to show up either. Hunter is asking, trading 70 account, that's amazing. How did you get that set up? Um, what do you mean by that setup? They're live accounts, so it's for my hedge fund. I own a hedge fund, so they're all like real people accounts. They're not prop firms or anything like that. I mean, you could get 70 prop firm accounts if you wanted to, or probably because you can do 20 with Apex, you can do I don't know, 5 with Tradeify, you can do 1 with Perdia, you can do 3 with Take Profit Trader, I believe. There's a lot of different prop firms out there now. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's doable, but for the 70 accounts, those are all like live accounts. We're not really, so I'm currently on NinjaTrader right now, but I'm going to be transitioning over to the institutional broker StoneX. We've been trying to transition over for the past couple months, but we just, I need to get this disclosure document approved by the NFA, the regulators. So again, guys, this is my fourth revision to my disclosure document. They're supposed to respond to me by Christmas Day. Obviously, they're not going to respond by Christmas Day. So I think by the 26th, I'll probably get a response, hopefully, if they're in office. Um, yeah, that's gonna, I'm really, because I really want to just get it ready by next year. I think, we've been trying to push for it all year and it's just a lot of back and forth. Um, and hopefully we can get everything done you know, by the first or before then, so that we can start taking all the trades on StoneX. But yeah, so anyways, the entry right here coming up, guys, at so I'm just gonna tell you guys it's at 654. So we have an entry right here at 654. It's gonna be another no entry. So it's not looking like I'm gonna have any trades for today, unfortunately. I was really excited to take an entry for today, but it's not looking like we're getting one. Um, it just might be a slow week, guys. I mean, honestly, it's Christmas week, so we shouldn't really expect too much, but I was really hoping we get some sort of entry here for to start off the week. But if you guys want to take the entry, I mean, there's probably going to be a setup over here for 655. So 654, that's what this date over here represents. It was with momentum. So obviously we need to go with the direction of momentum. The reason why there's no entry here is because we were looking for a buy, right? The buy probability is 76.92. So with that being the case, 76.92 is a probability for buys, and we would need to have a buy signal here already present. There's one that's pending right now, but this doesn't meet the criteria, right? We need the buy signal to be here already, ready to go, and ready to launch for this specific entry, and it's just not there. So unfortunately, no entry here at 654, and then again there's another one right after it. It's a cluster entry at 655. There's also going to be a no entry here as well. I mean, if you guys want to take it at 655, if this here closes with a buy signal, feel free. This has been pending for a while now, but it doesn't meet my criteria. Okay, so the buy signal here did close. If you guys want to take this next entry right here at 655, this is the last target entry for the day. For me personally, I wouldn't take it because it just doesn't meet the criteria. If you look over here at the max equity drawdown, it's the data on paper is pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's pretty decent for the most part. It has a 9.73 max equity drawdown, 55% probability of it winning either way for a buy or a sell. Profit factor of 2.444. Looking over here at the trade analysis, it has a 66.67 probability for buys, 37.50 probability for sells. Since we have a buy signal here, and since the probability here is higher for a buy, you would obviously be looking to take the buy here, right? So if you guys wanted to take that trade right there, this is going to fade this previous against momentum trade though. So, or this market flow V2, right? They're going to fade each other. So just depending on which one you guys want to take. But like I said, this entry here is going to be the last target entry for the day. If I was to pick and choose which entry I'd take, it would be for the buy here because this is an actual target entry. So if you guys are taking this right here, it's currently running. I'm not in the position. It looks like, unfortunately, today I'm going to have no entries. Yeah, no entry. All of the target entries here are no entries for the day, unfortunately. So let me scroll over here real quick, see what I'm missing. Let's see. Glenn's asking, Sean, how do you enter trades on bar close? Do you just enter market manually or do you use a third-party tool? So I enter them with a limit order right before the candle closes. So like for example, if I was going to enter this position here, I would have my limit order just hanging out right here, and I would dump it right there, right when the candle would close. Either that way or through a market order. So I'm going to take these off right here, guys. I don't want you guys to think I'm in the position. I'm not in this one, but either I put my limit order. I'll just let it hang down here, and then as the candle closes, I'll just drop it right on top so it fills. Or I just enter with a market order. So personally, I think in the future, I'm probably going to be using just market orders. And reason for that's because a lot of times I just miss the entry, right? Because you'll drop your limit order there and they just never get filled. Sometimes it goes straight into profit and never comes back for a pullback or retracement. So that's how I get in. When I move over to StoneX, I will be doing market orders probably because I have to get into positions or else they just won't work out. Let's see. I'm to not taking any algo trades because I don't trust the Wi-Fi, but we'll use a chop bot because it does everything by itself. We'll be looking to chop for the chop to start around 7:15, 7:30. Yeah, I agree with you, Masish. I can see that happening. Mendes said, how many minutes do we need for the momentum in advance before the target entry? So ideally, you want to see about 3 minutes before Mendes. And the reason for that is because that's going to fall in line with the flickering momentum, right? Because our criteria for the flickering momentum is you don't want to see momentum flickering within 3 minutes. And the reason for that's because, say, for example, price keeps flickering up, right? It goes back and forth. Let me just draw an example here. So say, for example, we had a ranging market like this, right? And say, for example, so we're just going to use this prior. So we had a sell signal here, but it kept flickering for a buy, right? So like flickered buy up there, came down, flickered buy right there, flickered buy right there. Say, for example, your entry is right here for a sell. I mean, obviously it wasn't for a sell, but if you had a flickering buy here and and we'll say the sell happened like right here, right? Like at the bottom of this part. Say you got a flickering buy here, it just kept flickering, right? Buy, 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 but it never closes. And then it ends up coming down right here. On that last candle, this can just shoot up if that flickering momentum, and vice versa the other way too, right? So say for example here, we'll just use this for an example. Say there's a buy signal and there's a flickering momentum for a sell. So say you were looking for a buy entry there, right? It just keeps flickering for a sell. We'll say it flickered maybe like 3 times, right? This is where it becomes tricky because you get a price comes up, buy signal comes up, pulls back down. Price comes up, buy signal comes up again, disappears, comes back down. Buy signal comes up here, and your entry here is for a sell. As soon as you enter that, price can easily just spike the other way. So like basically you want a 3 minute basically buffer because you don't want any momentum shifts between this period and your entry point, right? You want the momentum shift to happen maybe after or later on, but you want this to be as smooth as possible. So for example, if you have a buy signal here, it's just going to go straight up versus the other way. So you basically want a 3 minute buffer. And that's just from the data, right? If you guys looked at the data set over here, so we have all the data here. Basically, so yeah, so like loss pattern identification here for basically this trade, whenever momentum starts to weaken, so meaning, momentum's pushing up and all of a sudden it starts to weaken the other way. You don't want to trade when price is weakening the other way, right? So that flickering momentum is indicating that the momentum is weakening, right? Because we had a buy signal here and we've had pending sell signals over here, right? With that being the case, this shows that, okay, the momentum is starting to shift and get weaker. Looking at the data over here as well, unstable trend, that's the same thing with this right here, right? Because if you have flickering momentum, so let's just use this for an example. See how we have different momentums kind of overlapping, buy signal, sell signal, buy signal, sell signal, etc. This indicates that there's an unstable trend, right? Because price just keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. However, once you start to see them kind of spread out, so for example, over here, sell momentum, no momentum's in between. This indicates that it's in a strong trend. But again, right here, prior, you can see over here, we have buy signal, buy signal, sell signal, etc. So just using those to just using the data there shows you that you want to trade when there's a stable trend. We're not using specific tools here to identify trend. We're just using the momentum. And then same with all of these kind of align with each other. Basically, they're just indicating that momentum's weak, trend's weak, the direction's weak. And then if you were to put all that together, so for example, here there's just two red flags, but but the red flags are basically the same thing, right? They're all identifying weak momentum, weak trend, weak direction. So yeah, if you were to avoid this, this would increase the win rate completely, right? Because we were at like a 40%, it brings it up to a 46%. So big jump there, and then the P&L jumps as well. So we would avoid 137 losses. We'll sacrifice 29 wins, but overall, it's going to yield a lot more profit. So just something to keep in mind, guys, if you guys are looking for this, just, the criteria is is obviously important when it comes down to it. So let's see, we had another entry over here at 56. I mean, there was a couple entries here which came up. So this was a 56 one. I mean, I wouldn't take any. There's no target entries here. So this one's currently running right now. This is the 56 entry. I'll just change the time here. This wasn't a target entry, but this is a listed entry. Yeah, so this right here is a listed entry, not a target one. It's currently running right now as we speak. C5. All right. So I'm gonna put this over here um, in the data. All right, yeah. So like I said, guys, I'm updating the spreadsheet in real time to show you guys the entries that came up. I'm still documenting all the trades here, but we are. So again, like I said, this right here is a listed entry. I'll just put the list of entries up right now. I mean, typically I don't share these with you guys, but because we're not looking for any more target entries, these entries are just for lists. So here are the entries for today. So 635, this one came up right here. It was a win. So this is a 635 entry over here. That was a win for against momentum. 648, there was no entry. As you guys can see, we needed a buy signal there. There was no buy signal. 649, there was a buy signal there, or there was no buy signal, so also no entry. 654, there was a no buy signal before that candle, so there's no entry. 655, there was an entry here, but it was a flickering momentum, so obviously not one that we would take. 656, this is the one that's currently running right now. The market right now is not super great. I think this is a good time to use the chop bot, right? Because this thing's chopping up pretty heavily. So right now is not a good time to really take directional entries. Let's go to a kind of cleaned up chart here. Yeah, so you guys can see here, price has kind of been chopping up back and forth, basically between the sessions. We had a session right here, a session right there. Price is literally just chopping up back and forth. So yeah, not exactly the best place or time to be looking for entries, for directional entries at least, as it continues to chop up. Masishi turned it on at 640. He's up 850 right now. Yeah, Masishi said full send on a system I made in a day, not the smartest choice. But yeah, it's working. No, that's a good thing, right? The thing is, we want to see if it works, and this is the best type of market to really see it work in. Let's see. Masish said, also, Sean, I've been making a new Pine strategy script that inputs all of your original trading strategies like market flow, breakout V2, liquidity push. I'm converting them into settings in the algo so you can see when they are lining up on the chart as a confluence with the algo entries. Okay, perfect. No, that's great, Masish. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, Masish said because it's hard to keep track of all the strategies as a confluence. Yeah, no, because there's so many strategies to look at, right? MPSV2, market flow, all that stuff in general. So yeah, no, that helps a lot just to use it as a confluence because the thing is, if we have an entry here, for example, like we have a listed entry, and then we have the confluence for the specific strategy, we can just get in with confidence, right? We can kind of mix and choose if we really even care about the flickering momentum and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that helps a ton. So thanks, Masish, for putting that together. Going to help a lot moving forward. So fortunately, but unfortunately, no trades for me today, but no losses as well, right? That's a good thing, right? As long as we don't have losses, I mean, it gives us another opportunity to take more trades the next following day. Yeah, Masish said implementing this into stage four as well because your original strategies are good, so using them as a confluence could increase win ratio. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Masish. So Daniel said, "Have a great Christmas, everyone. Done for the week." All right, Daniel. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and the family. So Daniel's done for the week. Most people are calling it early for the week. If you guys want to call it early, feel free. You guys can see how the market's currently moving. This isn't a surprise, right? Christmas week is the slowest week of the year. Like, this is normal for there to be no direction, no volatility. Um, just specifically for Christmas, because I mean, this is just, people are taking time off earlier. I'll put some structure here to show you guys. I'm still going to be here. So, I mean, if you guys want to trade tomorrow, I'm still going to be live tomorrow. Um, See if I can maybe get into something tomorrow. But for the most part, you could expect the whole week to kind of be like this, kind of choppy, kind of rangy, not really much of a direction. You might see some price kind of push out of this area for a little bit, come back down. But it's pretty clear, right? Not really too much here to work with. Price is just consolidating sideways. Um, there's not really much volatility. The ATR is not horrible, but it's not great either. It's at 23 points, so it's pretty slow to say the least. Pretty slow. Yeah, Masij mentioned profit goal of 3,000 hit with the chop bot. Yeah, Masij said yes, really good. Was expecting larger moves and not able to turn it on till later, but it went great. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's you have to just if you could understand market structure and you can see that price was going into chop. So like we could already see that price was going into chop right here at 638, right? At this point, we're like, okay, price going to chop. This is probably a good time to start establishing as like turn on the chop bot. Like we could see price start going to chop here. And then like around 640 here, for sure it was going to chop because we established a range here and it just kept chopping up and down. Yeah, Masish said he's getting back late tonight. I will be jet lagged, and then Christmas might send it after Christmas week as I need to create a guide, which will take me a bit. Yeah, no, it's no problem, Masish. Take your time with it. I know you're still building it and making revisions and improvements to it. So yeah, there's no rush. Whenever you get it done, that'd be great. Justice is asking, is it the same indicator he was showing last week? Yeah, so basically Masij, he made a copy of it and then he made it better basically because like for example like they didn't have you can't automatically just turn it on, you had to set a specific price, which I thought was weird. And then different parameters for like when to turn it off, like a fail stop and stuff like that. So like but yeah, basically Masih just made it better. It's basically the same tool, but he made it a lot better in a sense. Yeah, so pretty cool, pretty cool tool. I'm gonna message you too, Masih. Let me see if I can message you real quick. Yeah, I just sent you a message, just a safeguard for it because I know you're making a really cool tool, and okay, cool, yeah. Just wanted to see if that would be the case. All right, cool. No, that's awesome. Because obviously we want to use it for us here, and we don't want if it works really well, we probably don't want to share it with like the whole world, of course. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, so the tool that Masij was making, I figured that was the case. I mean, I was looking at it too, Masij, and I actually ran it through ChatGPT to get the code too, and I got it. Obviously, I want to share it because I don't want to be the asshole to like mess with someone's work, but yeah, it wasn't very very hidden very much or in a protected system. But yeah. All right, yeah. So I was just talking to Masij in the background, guys, about the tool. Like we want to keep this tool kind of not open to the public, right? Like same with the stuff that we're doing here, like the algo. I don't mind sharing it with you guys. Like, there's only so many people on the stream with us. So like we don't mind sharing the strategies and the algo and our entries and stuff like that with people here. But like the general public, we don't want like thousands and thousands of people using specific tools because that's gonna decay our edge, of course, decay our alpha. So yeah. So that's gonna be fun, a fun tool to play with during, I guess, like down session time like this, right? Where price is literally going nowhere. Gilbert said, "How do I access the spreadsheet?" Yeah, let me give it to you, Roland. So Roland, let's see. It's over here under the algo page, and I'll tag you in it. I'll post it over here, and then I'll just tag Roland in it. There you go. No problem. So here's the spreadsheet, guys. I'm just going to show you guys the spreadsheet. It doesn't matter because I already showed you guys the trades for today. So there's a bunch of no entries for the day. Um, this side over here is going to have every trade listed, and this over here is going to have just the official trades, right? I did the math over here. If we were taking just one trade per day, basically the first entry, like for example, today, if I was going to take the entry at 648, it would just be this one right here, right? This would be a 17R. This would be a 17R for the for basically from November 3rd up until basically a 2 month period. So it was a 17R. So if you were to take, I mean, I'm taking 10 contracts. We'll just do the math here to show you guys. This is kind of what the profits would yield. So like 17R, if you took just the official trades once a day, would be 10 times 5 times 30 because that's going to be a 1R times 17. Basically 25,500. This is how much profit would be per account. And this is a hypothetical, right? If you were taking 10 contracts. If you had 20 Apex accounts, you'd multiply it by 20. That's how much profit you could possibly make across the accounts. Again, not everybody's going to be taking that many contracts. So let's dumb it down a little bit or minimize it a little bit. 5 contracts. So 5 times 5 times 30. And that's how much profit would be for 1R. It was times 17R. So that'd be 12,750. That's if you're doing 5 contracts, smaller account, right? Times 20 accounts, basically about half the amount of profit. So again, this is what I'm following. It's going to be less trades, but it's going to be higher quality, right? You're just taking one trade per day. So what I'm doing here is I do have a list of entries, but I'm only taking the first one that comes up, right? So for example, this is no entry. This one over here would win. There'd be another win right after, but I wouldn't take any of these trades right here, right? I would just take one and then be done for the day. Same thing with this next day, right? No entry. We take the second one, winner, done for the day, right? This one again right here, no entry, loss for the day. That's it. Just one trade per day. What I'm trying to show you guys is that, less is good, right? Less is better, less is good. You don't have to take 20 trades a day. You can take one trade a day and still be very profitable. So just something to keep in mind. And then for December over here, it's at 6R currently. So It's pretty good for like 10 trades. It's at 6R. So like if you were to just take the trades during December, again, if you're doing 10 contracts, 10 times 5 times 30 times 6, that'd be 9,000 times 20, 180. If you're in 5 contracts, 5 times 5 times 30 times 17, 12,000. Uh, or sorry, wrong number there. So 750 times 6, that'd be 4,500 per smaller account times 20. It adds up, right? So you just got to do the math, guys. I mean, for me, I think this is probably the best way to do it, because you're never going to go into like massive drawdown. If you just take one trade per day, if you have a loss, that's going to be a negative 1R. It's not going to be a big deal, right? And a lot of the times, it's better to skip certain trades. Like for example, over here, if I skipped all the trades from last week, we basically we'd be at we'd be in profit actually. So like Monday there was a win here, just one trade at 648. There was no entry at 648 on the Tuesday. There was a win on the next one and then a loss. And then on Wednesday there was a flickering momentum at 648, no entry. So basically we just took one trade for per day last week. It'd be two wins. So it'd be a 4R from yesterday, right? So I'll just put this, I mean, I gotta add this or adjust this a little bit so that that'd be there. But yeah, I'm basically just showing you guys that like if you take one trade per day, it's like it's actually going to yield you more profit. You could take more size on those trades and not have to worry about winning and then losing it right after. Because that's kind of what happened last week, right? So there was a win here on Tuesday, then there was a loss. Instead of having 2R, just at 1R. You could have just closed the day out at 2R. All right, back to the charts over here. So price finally broke out of the structure. Let's go back and take a look at the trades for the day. So like right here at 658, there was another entry here. Again, I'm not taking any of these entries, but I'm just marking them up to kind of follow through and see. So the 656, that trade wouldn't have played through. And I'm just updating the spreadsheet. Obviously, we wouldn't take every single trade here that's listed, but I mean, we're just taking a look over here. 710. I mean, this is against momentum. Obviously, wouldn't take it. I'm gonna just keep updating these as we go. And the reason why I'm documenting every trade that comes up to show you guys that not every trade is worth taking, right? Like you can see over here from the spreadsheet, there's going to be some days where you have like some crazy R multiple days, right? Like on Monday the 15th, last Monday, there's a lot of trades here which came up. It was a 4R multiple for the day, even though it had two losses. It had 6 wins and two losses, or sorry, 3 wins and two losses, 6R minus two. So yeah, you'll have days like this where the R multiple is going to be pretty high, but then you're going to have days like this where the R multiple is going to be really low or it's going to be pretty flat. So what I'm showing you guys here is that, I mean, if you want to, you have a couple options. It's either take every single trade or take just the target entries or just take the official entries, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can make profit either way, but they're all going to yield different types of profits. The problem with taking every single trade is that you're going to get into some massive drawdown, right? Unless you have a really big account, you're not going to be able to take every trade with the prop accounts. That's why I recommend just taking one trade here because it's going to meet the criteria. All right, let me check the chat real quick. Hey, what's up, Rashida? Sorry, I just saw your message there. Let's see. Masih said there are about 30 of us here right now. I think the first 1, 2 weeks I'll give it a shot and about 10 to 15 other people that I've been talking with. Don't want to give it to everyone as I need to make sure people I trust get it first so they can find any vulnerabilities. Yeah. That's perfect. So like Masij mentioned that, he's only going to share the chatbot with a few people to basically beta test it in a sense. We're going to beta test it, see if there's any problems, and if there's any issues, then we're going to resolve those issues before we make it available to everybody. Because it's a very lucrative platform and tool, but it's not meant to be used for every type of market, right? We don't want people blowing their accounts trying to use it in every type of market situation. Um, all right, Masij said, all right, hit my profit goal and about to be over the Atlantic in a half an hour or so. So the internet might get bad heading out. May not be here tomorrow, but if not, we'll see you after Christmas. Yeah, all right, Masij. So yeah, thanks for showing up today. Your input and sharing the tool with us. Yeah, if we don't see you tomorrow, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. We're glad to have you on board with us. Honestly, I don't even know how you found us, Message, but it seems like it was meant to be that you found our group because you've been a super big help to us, especially with me, because we needed someone that had a coding background to help us with the algo and improve it and having the data sets and all that stuff. So yeah, huge thanks to Message for joining us and being with us. But yeah, hopefully you're gonna be here for the long term, Siege. I think you will be because you can see that we're obviously working with each other and growing and getting better and improving, all of our tools. So, all right, Masish, we'll see you back here on, if not tomorrow, I'll see you back here on Monday. Merry Christmas. Yeah, so that's pretty cool, guys. If you guys sat in on my session a couple days ago, you guys saw that I introduced a tool. The funny thing is like the guy who introduced the tool, nothing bad against him, but he created such a basic tool that could have been so much better. And he kind of like didn't really hide the code very much. Like I was able to see the code and create my own tool as well. But obviously Masij is the actual, software engineer that understands how to like make changes and stuff like that. So we created a tool basically. If you guys are new here and you guys did sit in on that last session, basically the tool that I shared, it's good during a choppy market like this where price goes back and forth. Like basically, if price is in the middle, it takes orders from like both sides over here. Like for example, price is pushing up right now. If price pushes up right here, it's going to take a sell entry, and then when it comes back down for pullback, it's going to take a buy. So it like basically sells, buys, etc. And it just puts different orders throughout the place at like specific price entries, right? So when price is chopping up like this, it's like take a sell, take a buy, collect money, take a sell, take a buy, collect money, take a buy, take a sell here, collect money. It just every time it does this and chops up and down, we we're able to make money off that chop, right? And the tool is really cool. The only thing that becomes a problem is that when price starts to break out, so for example, if price breaks out like it's breaking out right now, this could like in a sense blow your account. Because you end up taking a bunch of orders right here. Like for example, if you take a sell here and you take a sell here and it just keeps pyramiding, you're now stuck in like three contracts right at this point. And if price doesn't come down, you're pretty much screwed. So we were able to set, or Masih was able to set a fail stop there. So if price was to ever break out in a certain area, it would just close out of your position, just flatten out to have a max loss or whatnot. Um, okay, so this trade over here just won. This is the 648 trade, or yeah, 658. So this is a win right there. So if you took every trade for today, it's basically at break even right now. There's another trade right here at 712. Let me see if that came up. Okay, so this trade over here at 712 was with momentum for a sell. There's no sell momentum here, so that was a no entry. And then we have a couple other trades here. So today's actually not a horrible day. If you look at it from this perspective, it's break even for all of the trades that were listed. And there was no trades, no official trades here for our target entries. So there's no entry for 648 because there was no buy signal, nothing for 649, nothing for 654. There was an entry right here at 655, which was a loss, but because there was a flickering momentum, there was no entry there to be taken. Let me check the chat real quick. Let's see. So Glenn said, Sean, I'm just curious, when you run the algo in January, are you still going to use the data during December despite abnormal market conditions due to the holidays? Yes, no, that is correct. We use a rolling statistic. So right here you can see I'm only using a trade sample of 20 trades. We're still going to be running it into the following month. So like it doesn't matter what holidays happen, stuff like that, because the market still goes on, right? So we're still using a rolling sample. So right now I'm from November 24th until the 21st. When you get to January, it's going to cover the December trades. Um, The reason why we do that is because we are trying to like we want to go with the market. It doesn't matter if like the market's irregular or anything like that. If the market's irregular, that's perfectly fine because we want the algo here to still provide consistencies, right? So if you look at my list over here, like you can see how there's like this is an outlier, right? Big inconsistency here where I had a streak of losses. We want to know this. We want to know if there's a streak of losses, even if the market was irregular, because this is going to show us that this specific entry point, right? This entry time at 656 is not a good entry, right? We want it to be consistent even during inconsistent markets. So yeah, we'll be using it either way. It's still going to be a rolling sample size, just 20 trades back, which is basically 4 weeks, a whole month back. See, like for example, here the max equity drawdown is too high. I wouldn't take this trade here because it's like this means that it has so many losses. It's doing a 2% risk per trade. So like if you do this, for example, it shows that there's about 6 to 7 back-to-back losses that are possible. And we don't want that, right? We don't want that to be the case. So this trade would have been skipped, of course. I mean, it wouldn't even meet the criteria for profitable trades. It would have to have above a 55. Profit factor would have to be above 2 or somewhere around there. And you can see over here from my list of trades, right? If you look at my trades here, all of these they line up as target entries because they have good data, right? They're good on paper. Shows that the max drawdown is not too high, so it doesn't go into very far losing streaks. The weighted percentage is pretty high too. It shows that it wins either way if it's a buy or sell. Profit factor here is good, so it shows that it wins 2.6 times for every loss. So this just shows that the entry is profitable and you don't have to worry if it goes into drawdown because eventually it's going to come back into profit. So yeah, let me just go down the list over here. Hunter's asking, is there a way to get access to it? Yeah, so if you want, I'm also on Zoom. So like if you're on the YouTube right now, guys, it might be delayed by a little bit and you don't have access to these lists of trades. If you want access to the list of trades, um, here, you could go to the website, but I'll put the website in the so that's the website. If you want access to the Zoom and the live session, just click on this right here. If you want access to the actual strategies, like if you want this algorithm right here to be able to if you want this algo to be able to pull up these trades yourself, or so here's the bigger thing. If you want access to this tool, right, the chop bot, then you would need access to the strategies. And I mean, you can make a ton of money from it. Like, like what Masij mentioned, he made like 6,000. I can't guarantee anything, but we've seen it in action. You guys have seen how it worked. If you guys want access to the chop bot, you would need access to the indicators, which would be this right here. So I'll just put links to both of them right there. If anybody wants access to the Zoom or if you want access to the strategies, this is actually it's going to be closed off to the public after this week. So if you guys want access to it, feel free to get access to it now. The reason why we're closing this off to the public is because the regulators are requiring that I shut down this website for the most part. Not necessarily shut it down. If you have access to it, you're going to keep having access to it, but I have to take these links down so people can't sign up for it. It has to be closed off to the general public because they want me to focus on being a hedge fund manager versus an educator. I have to make the choice. It's like I either stay as a trading educator or I move forward to my hedge fund. And the hedge fund is obviously going to make more money, so I'm just going to be stuck with the hedge. I'm going to be focused on the hedge fund, and I can continue to help and teach people who are already within the group, but I can't teach new people. That's just the rule that they're setting for me. It's unfortunate, but I mean that's just what they don't want. They don't really allow people to do both. Like you can't be a hedge fund manager and a teacher, and you can't be or you can't be a teacher and be a hedge fund manager because I'm licensed. So like I'm a licensed CTA, meaning that I can give trading advice, and if I'm managing money, I can't be a teacher as well. I know it's a weird thing, but that's just they don't want people to be doing both, or they don't allow for it. Let's see. Kenda's asking, do you think over leveraging? Do you think you're over leveraging? No, not at all. You said usually should only be risking about 1% on a live account. Uh, so I think you have a misconception of like what you should be risking per account. If you're risking a big account, then yes, of course, you shouldn't be risking a lot. But the thing is like the math that like we've done the math, right? We're doing a 1 to 2 risk to reward. So for every trade, I'm risking 1% to make two, or if I'm risking 2%, I'm making 4%. But the thing is, if you have a small account, like, so the smallest account that people have are about 10% or 10,000, right? You can't join the hedge fund unless you have more than 10,000. This is a very bare minimum. So if you're doing 1% of 10,000, you're gonna make $100, bro. Like $100 is not gonna, I'm not gonna get up in the morning to make 100 or to risk $100, right? To make 200. Um, so yeah, I mean, putting that in perspective, you're not going to make a lot of money doing that. So that's why you have to take more risk. If you're doing 100,000, right? If you had a bigger account, then yeah, 1% makes sense, right? You're going to risk 1,000 to make 2,000. But like I said, you have to, like, everyone's risk profile is different. If you're trading a smaller account, you have to take more risk or you're just never going to grow the account, right? Imagine taking, so we had 17R for the day, right? Or 17R for the month. Like, you got to be realistic. The thing is, I'm trading the account. If you're trading the account, you're not profitable and you're not consistent, then okay, yeah, 1% is a good risk. But the thing is, we have the numbers and the statistics here. So, we have a statistic edge in the market that we're going to be profitable. So if you have a statistical edge, you just increase size to those specific trades, right? You don't have to risk 1%. So I'm just going to give you, so if someone is doing 1% risk, right, to make 100, and you had a 17R for like 2 months, so like 100 times 17, you make 1,700. That's like nothing, right? I mean, honestly, just being realistic, that's nothing. But if you're doing 2% risk, I mean, obviously you make 1,700 times two, and then you compound it, right? So for example, at this point, now you have 13,400. If you have 13,400, and then now you're doing another 2% risk or whatever, you're making 268 per trade. You have another 17R for the next month. Then you keep compounding the account, and then from there you just keep growing and growing and growing. But if you're doing 1%, you're not going to make any money. It's statistically it's not going to make sense because you're taking one trade per day. Yeah, if you're taking like a bunch of trades per day, like if you're taking 20 trades, then okay, because you're going to be risking up to like 20% for the entire day, right? But if you're taking one trade and you have a statistical average or a statistical edge in the market, you're going to want to take more risk on it. It's just, it's just you got to do the math behind it. So, I mean, like looking at here's my profits for the year, right? I'm up 1 million. I didn't make 1 million by risking 1%, right? There's no way I make 1 million risking 1% here. Um, and this is with my losses, right? All my wins and all my losses. I started from January 2nd here. I started with a little bit of a loss. I was doing about like 2%, 3% risk. And obviously I grew the account as price went higher and higher. You got to take a risk. Like that's the thing with trading. A lot of people are scared to take a risk, but you have to take a risk, right? That's the whole point of trading, like it's to make money. If you have a statistical edge in the market, you can take that risk and you can compound it over and over and over again. But I didn't make $1 million this year from taking 1% risk. I increased the risk as I went on, right? I think even on my account, I'm probably taking like a 5% risk now because we have the probabilities here. Um, yeah, I mean, this is just for the data. Like, so if you're looking at the data for the algo here, this is the data for like the trade we've been taking is the 648 one, right? So like looking at this here, this is like for the month. This is a 10 contract using a 2% risk, right? So 2% risk, your max drawdown is 7%. Like if you know you're not going to go past 7%, then obviously you could take more risk. This is what I mean about the probabilities. If you have the probabilities on your side, you don't have to do a 1% risk because using a 2% risk here, it's still a 7% drawdown, which is perfectly fine. Like I would risk 7% to make 46%, right? The total P&L here is 46%. That's a nice probability there. And that's just for like one specific minute period. That's why the algo here is so powerful because it tells you the exact numbers. Like there's no guessing, there's no discretion. I don't care about trend, I don't care about none of that stuff. I just follow what the numbers here tell me. And if the criteria is met, I take those specific entries. Let's see. Let me check the Zoom real quick. Roland is asking when no trade for 635. Just want to make sure I understand that correctly. Okay, so Roland, looking at the spreadsheet over here, the so this right here, it says no trade because we're not taking the against momentum, right? If you want to take the against momentum, feel free to take those. But if you look over here, all the ones that are highlighted in yellow, I'm not taking any of those trades. So I'm still documenting them so that we can kind of see, how they come up and if they come up, but I'm not taking them myself. And I don't think anybody's taking them as well. The reason why we're not taking the against momentum is because they have a negative, or not a negative, but they don't have a good probability long term. Like you'll see this against momentums, they hit sometimes, right? So for example, look at yesterday. This one went at 7:35. This just shows that the 7 or 6:35 entries is a good time to take the entry, right? Because yes, on Friday it won right there, and today it won, right? But if you look in general at these against momentum trades, a lot of times they're actually not that good. Like for example, that was a loss. See, these are losses that would have been avoided because we don't take against momentum trades. See, if you look at them, they do win sometimes, but they lose more than they win. So the statistics, they don't really make sense to take the against momentum trades. Like you can make profit on it if you're able to like kind of if you're able to like skew the data in a sense where you're skipping certain trades. But for the most part, if you take every against momentum trade, I didn't highlight them over here, but I started highlighting them over here on the 8th. Yeah. So you can see a lot of them are just going to be no entries, but some of them do win. But they're like at specific times. Like I think like 6:35 is probably a good time and it's 6:37 right here as well. But you can see from the data here, you just kind of eyeball it and see which ones come up. Like for example, right here, see 6:33 is not a good time because it's right on open and that was a loss, no trade. Same right here, 6:37. But yeah, that's the reason why those say win no trade because I'm still documenting them, but I'm not adding them to the everyday trades. It's just the with momentum. And that's from the data too. If you looked at the data spreadsheet over here, this basically showed, which trades won and which trades didn't. It showed that the against momentums just didn't have a good probability. For with momentum, it was about 40%. I think overall for a 5-year data sample. For against, it was a little less. It was like 36. So yeah, we're basing everything off the numbers here and that's kind of just what we're going off of. All right, so there's another entry right here at 640. Yes, sorry, 740. No pending momentums here. So what you might see here is you might see price come back here, break and retest it, and then push back up. Because this one right here is against momentum. It has a 7.20 max drawdown, 58% weighted average, 50% overall, 66 for buys, 36 for sells, and a 1.980 profit factor. So you might see this pattern right here come up. This is going to be at 740. Again, this is against momentum, so it's not exactly a trade that I'd be looking to take. But if you did want to take it, it's still a trade there nonetheless. So I'll be documenting it just to have it on the list. But I'm not looking to get into it specifically. Let's see. Hunter said, so to trade with you, the live chat is needed since you won't be on YouTube, and buying the proprietary software will go away. Um, so yes, that is correct. If the YouTube goes away, which I'm trying to keep the YouTube on, like trust me, because I'm not trying to like take this away from you guys, because obviously I like trading with you guys and having the streams here does help um, with helping refine our strategies and staying on point with certain things. But yes, if that's the case and YouTube has to go down, the only way to trade live with me is going to be through Zoom. So you'd have to be on the Zoom. And for the proprietary software, it's available to whoever has it. So for example, if you sign up for access to the indicators and the tools, you'll have access to it. But if you don't sign up within this week or so, then you just won't be able to sign up at all. It's not going to be open to the public anymore. And I'm not doing that because I want to shut it down. It's because I'm sort of being forced to shut it down for the general public. Basically, we talked about this before. A lot of hedge funds don't share their strategies, which makes sense, right? Obviously, I shouldn't be sharing my strategies either, but I'm okay with sharing it with a small handful of people, right? Like sharing it with like 100 people is not going to make a big difference. This isn't going to decay my alpha. There's barely any people who watch my streams anyway, so it's not like a big deal. But the regulators are the ones that are really making me take it down because they mentioned that you can't be an educator and a hedge fund manager at the same time. You can do one or the other, but you can't do both. So Yeah, Roland said, all right, gotcha. So it was a win, but you didn't trade. You just didn't trade. Makes a sense. Forgot against momentum aspect. Yeah, exactly, Roland. Or not that I didn't trade it. It's just I'm not taking any of the against momentum. So basically, any of these yellow ones, I'm not taking any of these trades. The only trades I'm taking are the ones highlighted in green. And the ones that are highlighted in green are always going to be with momentum, right? So if you look over here at my list of trades, they're all going to be with momentum. I don't take anything that's against. You can take them, but for me personally, I just don't take them myself. I'm kind of curious now to see if like one trade was taken per day. No, looks like there's because so what happens with this, the problem with this here a lot of times is that the entries come up very early, like around market open breakout time, and they usually don't come up very well. I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to add it up now. So I'm going to add this up real quick. I'm just going to go down the list and just look at every trade. If we just took the first trade of every trade, basically, doing the same one trade per day, like including the against momentum. So I'm adding it up right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Again, there was no entries for me today, so we're kind of just looking at the data here. Yeah, I'm just curious to see now, looking at all of the list of entries, loss, loss. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I'm looking at the R multiple. If you took one trade every single day, including the against momentum, the R multiple is only 9. It's not that great. Yeah, it's not that great. So, we're at a point where we're trying to we have the big set of data and we're dialing in on like what's important. So like we have the data of like all the trades that are listed, and then now I'm moving down to target entries only, and against momentum is pretty much taken out. Here, I'll put this over here. So 9R plus. Okay, so here are the statistics, guys. I just did the math over here for pretty much every trade from November up until December. It has a 9R for every day, one trade taken every day. For just um, for just the target entries, one trade per day to 17R, and for December right now, it's currently at 6R. So you guys can see the numbers obviously make sense. It's better to take the listed entries, or not listed entries, target entries just once per day to yield profit, or a long-term profit. But all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to hop into the chat. Again, I'm looking over here at the trades for the day. There's nothing here to take right now at the moment. This entry came up at 740, and this one was a win. So again, like I said, if you want to take every entry, I'm updating the spreadsheet right here. So technically, if you would have factored in the against momentum trades, you'd be at a positive R right now, because this would be a 2, this would be a negative, and this would be a 2. So it currently would be at 3R for the day. That's if you were taking the against momentums into consideration. So I'll delete that in a few, but I just wanted to show you guys. Again, there's going to be some days where the against momentums work in your favor, some days where it doesn't. Long term, it just slightly works in your favor. They're not super great. So it's not something that I personally would, go out on a limb on. But if you want to take more trades, feel free. Let's see. Hunter said if I join the tools software, but not the Zoom, and the YouTube goes away, down any way to rejoin it. Yeah, so Hunter, if you get access to the tools, you actually have access to the Zoom. It's included. So when you have access to the tools, it's all included because it just makes sense for you to have access to everything since you're going to be using the tools. You want to be on the lives to understand what's being used at the time, and you want to be able to ask questions right on the Zoom. So, yes, if you do join with the tools and software, you'll have access to the Zoom. It's included. You don't have to do it separately. It's just the opposite. Like if you just do the Zoom, you're not going to have access to the tools. But if you have access to the tools, you'll have access to the Zoom. And we're in this for the long term, guys. So like, for all of you guys who are here so far and you guys are still around, like, this is just going to keep getting better, right? The algo's going to keep getting better. The chop bot's going to be introduced, and that's going to help during choppy markets. Um, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting ride, guys. It's gonna be fun. I think 2026 is gonna be really, really fun for all of us here because we're gonna have the algo to be following, to be focusing on mainly being focused mainly on the more quality entries, and then the chop bot's gonna be fun to run during market conditions that are like super choppy like this. And that could be something that could be applied on like, just maybe one account or something like that. Like a personal account that you can just run. Like you'll just put a couple $1,000 in it, set your risk to 1,000, and then, pretty much have it unlimited um, during the times that it chops up. So. Yeah, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. We have one more entry over here. This is going to be against momentum for a buy. This is going to be no entry. So we have one more right here at 649. This is against momentum. It has a max drawdown of 8.87%, weighted average of 50%, overall average of 50, buy for 50, sells for 50. It has a profit factor of 1.896. Typically, you want it to be above 2, but 1.896 is not bad either. This just indicates that for every loss, you have 1.896 wins. So it's close to a 1 to 2 most of the time on average, but it's a little less. The reason why that happens is because sometimes it runs into slippage, and you lose a little more than you should. But yeah, because this here is for a buy, and we currently have a buy signal here, and it's against momentum, this is going to be a no entry. So right here, guys, no entry. All right, so yeah, if you looked at every trade here that which came up, guys, it was a 3R for the day. If you took out the against momentum trades, then it would be at break even because there was one win and two losses right here. So just depending on what you guys were looking at, I mean, that's kind of the criteria right there. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys have some profits to share, feel free to send them, put some in the chat or anything like that. I know Paul over here did pretty good today. So yeah, let's see. So Paul said I got a long-term position set up. I expect price to finish strong to close the year, get close to the all-time high. Use a similar smaller time frame to line up with him. Currently up 3,000 on the trade. May hold for the rest of the day, or longer. Looks promising. Yeah, no, and I agree with you too, Paul. We call that the Santa rally. Typically, like from like November up until the end of the year, we have this thing called the Santa rally. Most of you guys are familiar with it if you've traded with me for a while. But yeah, let's go on the 4 hour time frame real quick. So like right here, you can see the Santa rally started on November 19th, right? So it hit a very strong low right here on November 7th or November 20th, basically the last week of November. See how price kind of sat around this area for a while? And then the Santa rally started where it pushed up. And yes, I agree with you too, Paul. It's probably going to push up even higher. That's why mainly I've been looking for buys. If you guys have been looking at my trades, my main focus has really been on buys because of the Santa rally here specifically. This happens every year. If you guys are not familiar with the Santa rally, and you're curious to look at it, just go on the daily chart and then look at every year between November right here, right? So this is from late November up until now. Price pushed up. Look at last year. It doesn't always happen, but for the most part, it does happen like this. So again, right here, same thing. The Santa rally sometimes comes up a little later or earlier. So for example, over here, the Santa rally actually came up a little earlier. So November 1st right here, it had a low point, and then price pushed up right till the end of the year. That was 2024. Again, go to 2023. This is just historical data, right? I've been trading for over 12 years now. So it's like I see this every single year. It's not like anything new happens. It's just the same Santa rally that just repeats itself. So let's go to 2023. So the Santa rally came really early in 2023. You can see over here it happened in October. But then again over here in November, it also happened again, I think. Or it was already pushing up. So like wherever you wanted to identify the Santa rally, it started here in October, but if you waited till November, there was other opportunities here to get into that rally, right? But it did exactly what I just mentioned, right? It just pushes up till the end of the year, 2022. Like I'm holding a lot of stocks right now just because of the Santa rally. Not that I like to hold stocks for that long, but I'm just holding it just because. So again, same thing right here, right? Sometimes it happens later. So for example, right here, it happened on November, like the last week of November, basically, or the last 2 weeks, and then it pushes up to the end of the year. So if you guys are curious to look at that, I mean, it's always a fun thing to look at the historical data. I mean, not everyone might not see this as fun, but to me it's cool to see this happen, right? Again, here October started down there. If you waited till November, and then it rallies up to the end of the year. So yeah, just a cool thing. If you guys just want to look at it, feel free to look at it. Just go on the daily chart, look at every year from October, November up until the end of the year. It always rallies up. It's just that's how the market is. Don't put all your money into it though, like and expect it to happen perfectly every year, but it does happen for the most part every year. And if you guys want to look it up, just search up Santa Rally, right? What is the Santa Rally in stock market? Yeah. Santa Claus Rally, historically right here tends to go up towards the end of the year. It's a real thing. I mean, we always joke around about it, but it's a real thing. All right, guys, 7:54 right here. Let's see. Let's see. Hunter mentioned, I'm shocked at how compounding works builds. I was always under the impression you needed huge risk to rewards to build. No, not at all, Hunter. I mean, for a while we were doing negative risk rewards. We just had a really high win rate. So I think before we had like, I mean, it doesn't look so great now on my statistics, but my win rate was like closer to like 70. We had like a one-to-one risk reward and a negative. So like here, let me just show you real quick. So like one-to-one risk to reward need above 50% um, win rate to be profitable, right? So this is a one to two. We do one to two risk reward. I don't do one to ones anymore. What I've realized over the years is that one to one is good short term. It helps with your trade psychology. Like if you don't like to lose trades, which was my problem for a long time, I didn't like to lose trades, so I like doing one to one. But the thing with the one to two is that you have such a big edge to be profitable, right? So like here, and I'll put this over here on this chart. Oops. So basically, if you're doing a one-to-one, you just need above 50% win rate to be profitable. You see a lot of people do like one to threes, one to fives, one to whatevers. I don't like those. If you could even use ChatGPT. Like, let me see if I could even ask ChatGPT. Right? You are a professional futures trading strategy analyst based on historical trading data. What is the most ideal and uh, optimal risk to reward parameters long-term tra day trading futures? 1 to 1 risk to reward, 1 to 2 risk to reward, etc. So you can like literally ask ChatGPT and it's gonna give you like the numbers here. Um, and guys, like if you guys don't use ChatGPT, use ChatGPT. It helps so much, like just to get data. If you guys want to do some research and just understand things, I use ChatGPT for like everything, right? So like for example, over here, if you just want high probability entries and you just want to win a lot of trades, 1-to-one's good. But if you want to do like the sweet spot, see like 1 to 1.5 to 1.2 is probably gonna be the best like for all types of strategies, momentum breakouts, orb strategies, trend continuation. If you're trading this type, like 1 to 1.5 and 1.1 to 2 is going to be good. And this is the question that I asked, right? I said you're a professional futures trading strategy analyst based on historical data. What is the most ideal and optimal risk to reward parameters long-term day trading futures, right? If you're a day trader, is it better for 1 to 1, 1 to 2, etc.? I said 1 to 1 is good if you want to just have a lot of if you want to have good wins, right? But if you want to be on the in the professional side and you want to make a lot of profit long term, it makes more sense to do a 1.1.5 to 1 to 2. If you go any higher, it usually doesn't really work very well for the most part. See, because and they still work, but the thing is like you don't really want to go super high. You want to have a good sweet spot, right? Like if your goal is to have a smooth equity and high consistency, 1 to 1, of course. If your goal is long-term survivability, which is mine because I want to be a long-term trader, of course, 1 to 1.5 or a 1 to 2 is going to be best for you. And so you can see over here, 1 to 3 works, but you have to have very strict filters or else you're going to go into some massive drawdown because you're going to have so many losses before you have a win to recoup that. So, final answer is going to be 1 to 1.5 to 1.2. Like guys, if you guys don't use ChatGPT, like you don't have to use it for your actual trading, but if you have any specific questions, ChatGPT is really, really smart when it comes down to it. As long as your prompt is good, you have to give it a good prompt. You have to give very good details, explain your type of strategy. Um, ChatGPT, I've been asking it so many questions that it knows exactly how I trade. It knows what strategies I apply. It knows that I'm a CTA. It knows that I'm a professional trader. So it gives me answers based on the, all the questions I've asked in the past. So just something to keep in mind. Hey, what's up, Sam? Good to see you here. All right, let me see if there's any other questions here. Yeah, Rashida said I love ChatGPT. ChatGPT is so useful, guys. Like if you guys want to create indicators or tools, my first version of my algo, I created with ChatGPT. Like the raw model. I created with ChatGPT, and then I started to pass it on to different software engineers to improve it and make it better. Um, so like, yeah, ChatGPT is good for everything, guys. If you need it to help you with editing or doing anything really, I think it's a really good resource for trading. Like if you have any questions regarding trading, like if you have a problem with your strategy and you're curious, okay, what metrics do you need to use to identify? That's how I got max equity drawdown here listed, profitable trades, profit factor, etc. Like I started focusing on these specific metrics because ChatGPT helped me understand that this is what hedge funds and quant traders literally look at, right? Max equity drawdown to make sure you never blow your account. Weighted average because this identifies the overall probability of it winning if you're trading a certain direction. And then profit factor to show you that the strategy is viable long term. So just something to keep in mind. Sam's asking no more YouTube sessions going forward. So I'm gonna try to keep them on, Sam. Again, if you want to join the YouTube, make sure to go on the Discord. I know I don't know if you're on here, but you're probably on here. The links to the YouTube will probably still be posted here on the Discord, but they're probably going to be unlisted on the public YouTube. So normal, like random people can't just join the YouTube stream. Um, so just make sure you're on the Discord, Sam. I'm going to try to be on here as much as possible. It might be maybe only like certain days, or it might just be only live only and no replays. But I'm going to try to be on as much as I can. Yeah, Roland said, literally saved me an 800 quick fix for my car. Did it myself. Cost me 15 to do it myself versus the dealer. ChatGPT is the truth. Yeah. I mean, I pay for a premium ChatGPT, guys. So here's another thing. Like, I have a prompt, and if you guys want to steal my prompt, feel free to steal my prompt. So, like, here's a thing that I use as well. And if you guys want this prompt, just ask me because I don't really care to hide it. But yeah, like looking at this prompt over here, this will give me the basically the information for fundamentals. So like I have all of this right here, the output structure and whatnot. I put this prompt in every morning and I don't know fundamentals, but it tells me everything that I need to know, right? It tells me what the market's going to look like. So it said for today, market was neutral to slightly bullish. What happened today? Slightly bullish, right? Price pushed up, retraced, and came right back up. So if you guys want this, I mean, I can share this with you guys. Like literally gives me all of the data here. You can use ChatGPT to do so many things. It gave me all the news events, the fundamental drivers, the macro data, the Federal Reserve rates, Treasury data, corporate data, etc. And it told me exactly what the market was going to do today on the 22nd. It told me it was going to be neutral, slightly bullish, and that's exactly what happened. Price pushed up. There was no news for today. It mentioned that that's why the market's going to be a little slow. Yeah, so you can see over here, trade implications for YM, not a clean trading day. And you don't have to use this for your actual strategy. Just use this for your bias. Like for example, my bias today was bullish, right? All my entries here are for bias. Unfortunately, they didn't come up, but if they did come up, I would have taken them with confidence. So, all right, guys. Yeah, Sam said, thanks, bro. You're the only YM trader who's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. Sam, I'm glad to have you on here with us too. Like I mentioned before, you guys help me just as much as I help you guys. I give you guys my analysis, I give you guys my thought process, how I trade, my strategies, etc. But your guys' input really helps me improve my strategies and my thought process as well. Let's see. I want to see if there's any other entries here. So let me go to this clean chart. I just want to see if there was any market flow V2 entries which showed up. I don't see anything here for buys. I don't see anything here either. Okay, so I just wanted to, here's a market flow V2. I don't know if, well, CJ is not here anymore, but if you guys like to apply the market flow V2, let me just go over here real quick. I'm going to show you what I would have looked at here. So see, for example, we have a buy signal right here, and I look for these wick rejections off the pivots, right? So wick rejection right there. I try to see two wick rejections within a same, like right next to each other. So no wick, and they have to wick off the same basically pivot. So like for example, this wicked off the orange pivot, level 3. This wicked off the pivot 4, right? So I wouldn't have used that right there. Um, like these are too spread out. There's nothing over here, but this is where it would have made sense for me. So see, for example, right here, we have a wick rejection right there off the pivot, the green one, level 1. This one again right here, rejection off the green pivot, level 1. And same with this one right here, right? For a market flow V2, I would set my pending limit order right here. So if it was to pull back and retrace again, I'd be ready to get into the position, right? So for example, here, the next candle comes down and see how it pushes down. It did exactly what I was looking for. It came down, bounced off the pivot. My entry was waiting right there, and this trade would have ran through and it would have hit target. So this is what Masij is working on. So basically he's connecting the algo to identify, this specific movement here. So he's using this algo to identify this specific movement here, where we can see if the time lines up with the algo entry. I mean, there was no algo entry here, but if there was, we would have been able to take it. But Yeah, something very, very useful there. Yeah, I'll read it real quick, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the in the chat. Here comes Alina. Here you go, baby. But yeah, guys, if there's any other questions that you guys have, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Like I said, I'll try to keep the streams available to you guys. There's not that many people here anyway, so it's not like we're sharing my edge with like 1,000 people, right? It's like a couple hundred people, not even a couple hundred people, less than 100 people that we're sharing my edge with, and I'm fine with that. But let's see, one last question from Hunter. Hunter is asking. So with your strategy, if I want to grow my account like you, I need a large number of accounts if I'm risking 2% to have large profits. I mean, you just got to do the math, right? If you're like, for example, if you're just trading one account, here, I'll just do the math for you again real quick. So it's 17R basically from November up until December, right? So you just got to do the math, like whatever your account size is. If you're doing, say you're doing a 50K account, right, with Apex, whatever. If you want to, because that's the easiest way to do it, right? And also there's an Apex promo going on. So if you guys want to use that Apex promo, right now is a really good time. If you want to use it, sorry, my daughter is going crazy. The promo right now is, I think it's 80%. If you use my code, I have a specific partnership with Apex. If you use my code specifically, I think you get a bigger discount here. So I'll just share this with you guys right here. But yeah, here, let me just do the numbers for you real quick. Hunter. So basically, if you're using a 50K account, you probably use four contracts. That's to be conservative. The reason why I say that is because here I'm going to do the math for you again to show you. So your max risk is 2,500, right? You divide that by four. This is how much risk you could take, 625, and then you divide that by 30, and then you divide that by five. And if you need this formula, I'll give you the formula. Okay, so here I did the math. So the max, you could risk 2,500 before you blow your account, right? And you have to have four back-to-back losses to blow it. So this is how much risk you can take per day, 625. You divide that by 30 because 1 hour is going to be 30, right? 30 point TP stop loss. So now you're at 20. Then you divide that by five because you're using, because each contract or each point is worth $5. So at that point, you're going to be using four contracts per trade. So let me do the math here again. So four times 5 times 30. For 1 hour, you're going to make $600 per trade, right? So you do that and then you multiply it by 17. So 17 is for, sorry guys, 17 is the R multiple for November to December. And with that being the case, you would have made 10,200 per account. So if you're cool with that, that's one account for 2 months. And if you were to take 20 accounts, you multiply it by 20, and that's how much profit you can make. So you just do the math, right? The math is from using a 50K account with four contracts. That's how much you would make per trade or per R multiple. And right here, we have the data showing that it's 17R for the whole 2 months. But all right, guys, I got to run. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session. So, all right, guys, I'll catch you guys then. Have a good one. Rev is asking ChatGPT message on the ChatGPT.